All right, all right, all right. I am back. We are back together. This
Boys
podcast
are back.
episode, the boys are back in town. I love it. Dude, honestly, we need to have an intro music. That should be it. I think we just found it. That'd be pretty dope. But we're starting to get more comments on our videos, which thank you guys so much for that and all the support from subscribing and the comments. So what should our intro music be? There you go. There's one for you guys. But this is going to be on the shorter side, but it's going to be really good because today we are talking about emotional control and stability for dudes, which is kind of like a taboo topic for some reason, and why the strong men actually stay grounded in that and why that is so important. So, because it's honestly probably one of the biggest thing holding men back is the fact that they aren't in control of themselves emotionally. And that can obviously stem from we're just jumping right into it, into a bunch of issues, right? From maybe past trauma or past experiences, stuff like that. Because it's definitely isn't the lack of knowledge, because we're overloaded with knowledge nowadays. It's definitely not the lack of opportunity, even though a lot of guys like to pretend it is, because opportunity is out there. You just got to take it. But it's a lack of emotional control. There are plenty of men who seem fine on the outside. I'm sure you guys can come up with some off the top of your heads already. But like the men who are strong in the gym, they show up and they're all maybe like clean. They seem like they got it all together. They're disciplined at work. They do good. They show up for Sundays. Maybe they're even involved in a group and they have some really good, insightful things to say. But behind the scenes, they're reactive to everything. They're very short-tempered. They shut down if anyone pressures them too much. That's why they put on this bold face, right? They get frustrated really easily. They just could do really good at hiding it in front of others. And here's the solid truth, guys, is if we cannot control our emotions, then you can't lead, period. Like, plain and simple. Leadership is not just something that you get and then you keep for the remainder of your life or whatever. Leadership doesn't grow, doesn't start usually when things are easy. It's revealed and it's solidified and it's improved on and strengthened during the hard times, during the hard seasons and the hard decisions and stuff like that. So all that to say, today we're going to be talking about emotional control and why the stable men are actually the ones who lead, not the emotionally reactive ones. If you got an emotionally reactive boss or anything like that, I mean, I'm sure you guys can agree that just because you have the title of a leader or boss, especially if you're an emotional one, then it's kind of hard to get people to follow or respect or anything like that. So John's going to kick us off here with section number 1 and we'll get rolling.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And it's good to have you back on here. I mean, it really is. Last week, I was like trying to like stumble upon my words and I felt like I was talking way too long. And it's like, I wanted to turn it over to you. And I was like, I know he's got something going on. But
I think
hey,
that was
that's
at
all
work.
right.
I think that was it. I was on shift.
No, you think you're on shift or you were getting ready to start sleep training your baby girl. So it was one of the two. I have no idea what it was.
Right.
But that's okay, man. I'm glad you're back on here. I'd much rather do this together than do this by myself. That's for sure.
For sure.
But yeah, guys. So I mean, we're talking about this because the problem is, and Ian's already touched upon it a little bit, is that men are reactive. Most men live in reactive modes. Kind of our MO. If something goes wrong, and what happens? We react. Just natural, right? Whether it's the kid at home breaks a window, maybe somebody at work does something they're not supposed to, whatever it is, something goes wrong, we automatically react, right? Someone says something, we react. If stress hits, because guess what? Stress hits us all the time as men, whether it's in our marriage, in our finances, at work, with our kids. Guess what? We react. That's just how it is. And hey, that stress or that reaction, it can show up in a lot of different ways, right? Some guys explode. Those are the guys with the really short fuses, right? They react by just exploding. Other guys react with anger. They just go into full on rage mode. Other guys get frustrated. Other guys, like whatever it is, some guys just shut down. They just become quiet. They withdraw. They check out. This is more my MO right here. When I get reactive, that's what I do. I'm just like, you know what? Peace out. Hit the power button. I'm gone. Shut down. Checking out. That's just. The thing is like, both are the same issue, guys. What it really means is like, it's just a lack of control. And the problem with being reactive in this kind of a way is that you give control of your behavior to your environment. It's pretty much what happens is you give control of your behavior to the environment around you. So instead of you being in control of yourself, instead it is the things on the outside, the external that is coming in that actually gets to dictate who you are and how you live and your behavior. So instead of leading your life, you're more or less just responding to it. So you're really not in control of anything, which is funny because a lot of times men react because they're trying to control everything. And by doing that, they actually control nothing. It's, funny how that works, but it is the truth, you guys. I know Ian just went and checked on his baby girl, but um, Ian's going to talk to us a little bit about like why men even struggle with emotional control to begin with.
Yeah, so we're about a week into the sleep training thing. My daughter is about 20, actually, as of tomorrow. I had to check the date. Yep, tomorrow she'll be 21 months old. So we're about a week into the sleep training thing. So we got a process where we put her down, and then as she screams her head off, about 5, 10, 15 minutes, and every 15 minutes until she falls asleep, we got to go check on her. I volunteered for that, obviously, to kind of help my bride with the emotional aspect of that. So if after I speak, if y'all see me get up and leave, that's just what I'm doing. But I got the baby monitor here, and it looks like she actually might have fallen asleep, standing up as usual. But hey, it's a win. I'll take it. She's still standing up. But yeah. So there are a few reasons why men struggle with emotional control during our own experiences, during the men that we have helped and served and helped coach, and just from our own research. These are the top reasons why we have come to realize men struggle with emotional control. A lot of this, or this first one, you guys are probably going to be very well familiar with, is that men were just never taught how to process emotions. Especially if you're a couple generations back, we are told don't be soft, don't complain, figure it out on yourself. Why you're crying, you're a man. You shouldn't struggle with that. Any number of just things that make us suppress our emotions instead of processing through them. And suppressed emotions don't just get swept under the rug and forgotten about and just disappear over time. They get swept under the rug and forgotten about until they reappear and build back up and eventually just leak out, usually in some type of explosive way or just unhealthy pattern, right? That is just so devastating to not only us, but those around us, those we love, maybe our families, our spouses, our kids. And then it leaves us wondering, like, where is all of this coming from? What in the world is going on with me? So that's the first one that we've seen a lot of, is just that men were told that men aren't allowed to feel. You're not allowed to feel, not allowed to cry, don't complain, be a man, suck it up, all that good stuff. The second one is overstimulation, which in today's society is just so easy to do. Like John, whenever I get overstimulated, especially with emotions, I can tell when I've had an emotionally overstimulating day because it literally drains me. Add that with the ADD I battle, and it just makes for a wicked combination where, like, there are days where by noon, I am just like, there's not enough caffeine in the world to give me energy right now. I cannot even function. I've been emotionally drained already. And that sucks. I get it, because you're constantly getting input into your lives, into your brain, into your body, however it is. You don't have stillness, no time to think, especially if you struggle with like ADD and overthinking like I do. And I know John does as well. It's just even when you do get that stillness, your brain is just going, going, going. Your nervous system stays locked into that fight or flight. It stays up all day. And then that's just your normal operating. And then when something small happens, you're already maxed out. And it turns into something really, really big, or you just shut down completely. Like, you could already be struggling with a lot of stimulation during the day at work, and then you come home and your bride's upset about something. And then instead of being able to emotionally process not only what you've been going through all day, but now as a leader and a husband and provider and a lover and a caretaker, you have to emotionally process what your bride is bringing to the table. You're maxed out. You want nothing to do with it. And it just constantly drains you, and you just shut down, and your leadership ability just falls to the wayside. So that's number two, is overstimulation. Number three is just a lack of discipline in general. If you don't control the habits and you don't control how your day is formed and shaped, there is no way in heck that you're going to learn how to control your emotions. That's why when John and I coach guys through it, and with our Relentless Pursuit group on school, especially in the inner circle, which is the paid membership part of it, we talk a lot about habits and habit building. It doesn't have to be drastic habits, but it does have to be standards that we keep to ourselves on a daily basis with our time, our finances, our health, and all this stuff because it builds discipline, and discipline builds stability. Without it, everything else becomes just incredibly reactive. That's why, you swing into Starbucks or McDonald's on the way home, and grab some absolute garbage food to fuel your body with instead of either meal prepping or making food when you get home. That's why you choose to sleep in instead of, get up and work out. Same with your emotions. If you don't build the discipline, then everything else becomes reactive. So speaking of reactivity and emotional instability, John, why does emotion stability matter then?
Why does it matter? Well, you think, well, because if we're not all over the place and being reactive, you think we just feel better, right? And don't get me wrong, when we are emotionally stable, we do feel better. But guess what? Being emotionally stable is not just about feeling better. Yeah, that's a great byproduct. Don't get me wrong. Like, think about it. Like, what happened? Like, what would life be like if I never exploded at my bride or my kid? Instead of shutting down and isolating and withdrawing every time I reacted, man, wouldn't it be nice? What would life look like if I didn't do that? Right. And don't get me wrong, you feel a whole lot better. But that's not what this is about. This isn't why it ultimately mattered. It mattered because this is about leadership. Because your emotional state sets the tone for everything around you. It's the thermostat of your household. Okay. Your emotional state and how you conduct yourself and how you behave essentially and how you let your emotions dictate your lifestyle and actions trickle into those that are around you, those that are most important to you inside the four walls of your house. Okay. Whether or not you want that to be the case, guess what? You're the husband, you're the father, it's on you. You might be like, man, I just want my wife to do that. No, guess what? Too bad, not her job. Your job. It is your job. Whether you like it or not, God has given you the ability to be a man. Therefore, this is your leadership spot here, guys. Like, because people are watching, they're taking notice to things, and you get to set the tone for everything around you. That's really it. So think about it. At home, your family feels your mood, right? So when you come home from work, first thing you come through that door, your family can pick up on your mood and tone in the first 5 seconds of you being in that household. Think about it. When you come home, what do you like? Do you throw your things down, go to the fridge, grab a beer, find the couch, throw on the TV? I know a lot of guys that do that. Do you come in? Do you just isolate yourself or do you vent or this or that? Are you so short fused that your kids want to do something and you're immediately like put off, like, hey, give me 20 minutes to myself? I mean, again, I know guys that do this. At work, guess what? People respond to your presence. It's the same thing. It's just like getting a home. People respond to how you conduct yourself. Are you that employee that's unapproachable, that they have to walk on eggshells around because they're afraid of how you're going to react to anything and everything? Guys, because if you're unstable, everything and everyone around you feels unstable. Okay. Like if they're walking on eggshells around you, that's because they feel like you're unstable. That's just how it is. But when a man is grounded, when we are emotionally stable, we're now calm under pressure. We're not taking that pressure and going off the deep end, right? Because we're steady when things go wrong instead of, that child in the house who, let's say, is trying to help you make something, because this is something that happened in my house all the time. My kids love to cook with me and I love having them cook with me. Don't get me wrong. But by doing that, I know it's going to create 5 times the mess and take 3 times as long. That's just kind of how it is when you have kids cook with you, but it's so worth it because you're teaching them a really cool skill, right? But let's say you're cooking with your kids like I do, and you want them to crack an egg, and instead of cracking the egg in a bowl, they crack the egg and it goes all over the floor. Happens. But in the moment, do you handle it with anger, frustration, or do you handle it with maybe a little laughing and like, "Oh, you made a little mess, whatever, we'll clean that up." I mean, truly, like those kind of moments are the things that set the tone for the rest of the house. And these are the things that really, really matter. Because when you're steady, when things go wrong, guess what? People trust you. They're calmer around you. They lower their guard around you. They're able to be more vulnerable and enjoy that kind of time. Because unfortunately, a man who can't control his emotions can't create stability for others. And I think all of us who are husbands and fathers want stability for our kids. We want stability for our families. And that, you guys, by creating that stability, that's what true leadership is. Creating stability in environments that could easily become chaotic. And I'm not saying that means that your house can't become chaotic. Guess what? I got 2 kids. My house is always chaotic. I call it a zoo for a reason, because guess what? At any given point, I swear the neighbors 3 houses down can probably hear Alexa singing his butt off, or my daughter screaming at Alexa to change the song. It's just how it goes, right? Right. That doesn't mean our house isn't stable. It just means it's loud and can become chaotic. So, but as we talk about this, guys, yes, it really matters. But did you know it also has a biblical foundation? I know Ian knows that because he's going to talk to us about
I
it.
do know because that's what we love to do. Things got to
I
tie
like that
back
trade off.
to the word. That was actually a really good segue. Well done. I like that. I just keep glancing over at my daughter who's on the monitor here, and she stands up, right? I told you that she stands up because she's fighting the sleep training thing and just like lays her head down on the side of the crib to go to sleep. She'll stand up all night if we don't like lay her down once she falls asleep. But her to keep her legs from like buckling underneath her, she has her butt like stuck out at like a 45-degree angle to kind of brace herself up. And I'm kind of watching her fight it a little bit. And it's kind of silly, but anyway, yes, biblical foundation. That's why I keep glancing over. I'm waiting for her to topple over. But anyway, joys of parenting. So, Billy, you don't want to hear about my daughter trying to keep herself awake. You want to hear about how the heck this is even biblically tied in. And that's what we do here is we tie things in biblically. Everything we do has a biblical foundation. It has to. We have to build everything we do off a biblical foundation or it's going to fall apart. So let's start in Proverbs. Proverbs 16:32 says, better a patient man than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city. Self-control here is basically being given, and that's in a lack of a better term, it is greater than strength. The writer of this is saying self-control is greater than strength. It takes a lot of strength, a lot of manpower. I think we can agree to take a city. Just think about like in the medieval times, medieval days of old, how much resources they would have to throw at just even a small city or a town to take it. That is crazy strength needed. Now, obviously it's a massive strength. It's not just one person, but people have to actually do the taking and the fighting and the pillaging and everything like that. And the Bible is clearly saying that better a patient man than one who goes and takes a city. It's greater than the dominance. It's greater than the outward success. It is put on a pedestal to where if you continue to read through Proverbs and even Psalms has a lot to say about this, if you don't have self-control at all, the Bible calls you a fool and a lot of other things too, not just one who can't take a city. Right. In James, it talks about it too. In James 1:19, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Everyone should probably be familiar with this. It was preached to me day in and day out growing up, right? But I think we just become, this is one of the verses I think we just become so familiar with that we just kind of gloss over and we're like, yeah, that's great. I agree. Everyone needs to control their anger, but it's so much, so much more than that. James is saying that you need to not be reactive. You need to be slow and measured and intentional in what you do, in the listening, in the slow to speak, and the slow to become angry. It is something that you have to take control of, not just something you do, right? It is something that you actually have to take control of, self-control. Biblical strength is controlled strength. You have to be able to control your emotions because if not, it gives way to anger. It gives way to cheating. It gives way to obviously like lust and hatred and all the other sins that come from the heart. Controlled strength isn't supposed to be suppressed, but at the same time, it's not supposed to be explosive either, right? We got to find that happy medium. The Bible says it must be controlled. And if you're wondering what emotional control actually looks like, I'm so glad you're here because John is going to tell us all about it.
I see what you did there.
Thank you. I try to be more like you.
Oh my gosh, it's getting late tonight. Oh my, here we go. Man, but as you guys may or may not have known, like there is a biblical point to this, right? And when we talk about being in control of your emotions, let's let's make this applicable, right? Because we want everything that we talk about on these podcasts to be applicable, ways that we can take these with our lives and improve our lives and all these things. When we think about emotional control, that doesn't mean that we are not allowing ourselves to have emotions. I think a lot of times that gets misconstrued is like, if I'm emotionally controlled, then I don't get angry. I don't get explosive. I don't get frustrated. I don't get this and that. Well, I'm sorry, you're a human. You are allowed to have emotions and it doesn't mean you feel nothing.
Right.
I mean, read the Bible. Jesus cried. Jesus wept. Jesus flipped some tables and threw people out of the temple. I mean, I kind of wish I could have been there. The Chosen did a really good job with that scene because it really brought it to life. I mean, Jesus felt every human emotion possible.
Right.
So being in emotional control doesn't mean that we feel nothing. What emotional control really means is that we don't let those feelings dictate our actions. Is really what it means.
I mean, just read the
It's
Bible.
like
It's an emotional roller coaster in and of itself. Yeah. You can
Yeah.
see all the times men have given into emotion. David is a good example.
Exactly. Exactly. So being in control of your emotions really just means that you don't let them dictate every single one of your actions. It gives you the freedom to feel angry. It gives you the freedom to get pissed off. It does. I was pissed off today, just this morning, right? I had the freedom to do that, but I shouldn't let that control my actions. And I actually had to come clean on that because it was a little bit this morning. This morning, I was letting it control how I talk to my bride, which that's not leadership, guys. That's not. I'm sorry. I was not being a good leader there. I was not being a good husband. What being in true emotional control does look like is pausing before reacting, right? Something happens, and instead of just immediately reacting, it's pausing. It's taking a minute, taking a breath, maybe taking an hour or two, whatever it is. It's that initial pause that tells you, basically, you're telling your brain and your emotions that you're the one in control. It wants to act a certain way, but you're like, you know what? Not everything needs an immediate response. And it doesn't. Hate to break it to you. It doesn't. Emotional control looks like responding instead of reacting, where you get to actually choose your words. You choose your tone instead of just as we have this lady. So this is something that's complete rabbit hole, but it's kind of fun talking about reacting. We have this lady that likes to come to our rec council meetings all the time. And all she does is what we call shoot from the hip, right? Because all she's doing is reacting to things. She's not pausing. She's not responding. She's literally letting her emotions dictate everything she does. And she's just reactive all the time. That's what she is. She's in reactive mode, shooting from the hip. And it's like, that's not leadership. That's not being in control of your emotions. That's not what relentless men do. Relentless men choose to respond instead of reacting. We end up choosing our words. We choose our tone. Okay. Relentless men stay steady under pressure. That doesn't mean that we're perfect, right? Because we're not going to be. We're human, but at least we're grounded. We're anchored. You hear us say that a lot. Ian's got the shirt on right now. Assigned, anchored, relentless. Anchored, you guys. What are you anchored to? Right? We are grounded and anchored in Christ. And if we do that, we can help us stay steady under pressure. That was a good little tidbit there for the shirts, by the way, guys. On the store, just saying, if you go to the store, you get that one, you get this cool polo that I just got today. I'm just
Yes, we
saying.
go. Relentless
Shameless
Pursuit
plug for the merch.
.com/store. You're welcome.
There you go. Shameless plug for the store midway through.
There you go.
That's what we do. But guys, seriously, being in control of your emotions really just means that you get to own them, right? You get to own your emotions, which is great. That means that we're not blaming our wife. It's like, oh, I got angry because she did this. I mean, how many times have you ever caught yourself saying that? Well, I only got upset because she, or because he, or because the kid. Well, that's not leadership, guys. That's just passing the buck. That's passing the blame. Okay. Relentless men don't blame our brides. They don't blame their job. They don't blame their stress. We take responsibility for our emotions. Okay. That's just what we do. So how do we do this? How do we build emotional control? How do we do this thing? It's like, John, Ian, you guys are making a lot of sense. This stuff sounds really good, but how can I turn this into my day-to-day life? Well, lucky for you,
So
Ian's a
glad
pro
you
at this and
asked.
he's going to tell us.
So glad you asked. this is the bread and butter. This is what we want you guys to understand. This is how you start. Is first you got to create space. I don't care how busy your life is. Everyone's life is busy. Create space. If your life is constant noise and input and just, double down on that one, you're always just going to be reactive to everything going around you. You're not going to give yourself the time to be still, to de-stress, decompress, to recover and get ready for the next round, right? Second, after you create that space, you've got to slow down your responses. This is what I'm telling my son all the time. He's a redhead. He's a hothead. He's 10 years old and it's only getting worse. I'm like, dude, you have to slow down, right? I love you to death, but you've got to start noticing what mom and I are saying when we're trying to help you. You've got to start noticing how you're feeling in the moment. So that way you can bring yourself back down. That way you can catch yourself before you do something or say something mean. You don't need to answer everything immediately. Actually, the Bible says it very clearly. Those who respond quickly are foolish, are idiots. They just want to hear themselves. They have nothing really of any value to say. They just want to be heard and they want to be right and they want to cause problems. Take in what people are saying. Ponder it. Think about it. Say a quick prayer over it. Do not let your emotions guide your response and then answer, right? Take that breath before you respond. And third, you have to, believe it or not, your physical discipline actually goes hand in hand with your emotions because an irregulated body and a body that's all hormonally out of whack with muscular dystrophy and can't support or that's overweight, that's struggling to even just make it through the day. Uh, it's not good for your emotions because your emotions are going to ride a roller coaster because they're not regulated because your body's not regulated on top of feeding it garbage. Training your body trains your mind, and then it allows them to work better together to help keep your emotions regulated, and not even to help you regulate them, to help when you do feel your emotions rise, help you to be more aware of it, and then give you the strength and mental capacity to be able to bring yourself back down. You basically learn to stay in control under stress because when you're putting your body through physical discipline, what is that doing? You're stressing your body out. You're putting strain and stress on your muscles, right? You're destroying the fat cells. Your body is under duress. And as it is physically learning how to adapt to that and become stronger, sorry, like John says, getting late, my mind tried to shut off on me there. Your mind actually follows suit and does the same thing. You learn how to stay control under your stress. Fourth, we got 5 things here is to watch your inputs. I mentioned it kind of a little bit earlier. This world, this society is just input driven. Our little computer boxes here, just anything and everything at the flick of a switch, at the push of a button, just massive amounts of input, guys. You've got to be able to watch what you consume and monitor what you can. That's the same thing. So monitor what you consume. And I don't know. So you want to watch what you consume. Make sure you're only doing healthy things, God-pleasing things that you are putting into your eye holes. And also, you want to put a time limit on it. The doom scrolling thing, it's a real deal. It's a real problem. If you find yourself doom scrolling when you could be using that time a lot more wisely, then maybe take some extra steps there. And fifth, you got to have accountability, guys. This lone wolf thing just doesn't cut it. We've gotten into debates with people about this before about, oh, I've been a lone wolf for 40 years. I'm doing great. I bet you if we sat down and had and you were able to actually have an honest conversation with us, we'd be able to find out that you're not doing as great as you think you are. You just got really good at putting up walls and pretending, right? The Bible does not agree with the lone wolf mentality. It just can't. It talks a bunch of times about how meeting together is so vital for one's faith and one's security and just that sense of well-being. It gives you more purpose and for accountability. You have to have men around you. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a handful of solid men around you who can hold you accountable, call you out when you start to drift, and who will be there lovingly to challenge you and push you because you don't, at the end of the day, you don't rise to emotional control. It's not just something that happens overnight. You have to train for it like you train your mind and like you train your body. So how do you do that? A great way to do that is through certain challenges that help set the foundation. And John is going to tell you a good challenge that you can use to help regulate your emotions.
All right, guys. Yes, like Ian said, I love challenges. I don't know what guy really doesn't like challenges. I don't know if it's like this thing of like, okay, we got to measure up to it, or we're just like, okay, challenge accept. I mean, just how it is, right? So for this week, we want you to focus on just one thing, 7 days. Here's your focus. Okay. It's just your reaction time, you guys. Nothing really complex. It's super simple. Your reaction time. Before you respond, pause, even if it's just for a second. Maybe it's 3 to 5 seconds. Maybe it's a minute. Just focus in on your reaction time. Like Ian was saying, create some space between that stimulus and your response, because that space is where control is built. Okay. And the more that we can practice this, and it might be hard at first, because it might be like something happens and you got it right here on the tip of your tongue. And it's like, breathe, take a breath. Before it comes out, breathe. Take a breath. Maybe it's something in order to get that space, you do take a deep breath. Okay. You can like habit stack this a little bit here. Create something that's going to anchor it a little bit. Okay. So create that space, pause, because the more you can do this over time, guess what? That space now becomes that stability. It becomes that anchor. It becomes that grounding that you need to be able to control your emotions. And Anya is up and moving. Look at her go. Can't see her, but that I guarantee is why Ian jumped up. So that's the challenge, you guys, for the week. So I'm going to leave you here with this. Anyone can be calm when life is easy. When life is great, think about it. You're relaxed. There's no tension. It's just everything just seems to flow smooth. That's because you're calm. Life is easy. But here's the thing. The man who stays grounded when things go wrong, that's the man people can trust. That's the man that people are going to follow and respect. That is the relentless man. That's what we're after. That's the guy who leads well. So, guys, control your emotions, or guess what? They're going to control you. Stay steady, stay anchored, be relentless.